Okay, quick question. If you were camping in the middle of nowhere and suddenly felt like something was out there watching, would you stay in your tent? Or would you cut a hole in the side and run barefoot into a snowstorm? Because that's exactly what happened in 1959. And no one knows why. Welcome back to Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing. I just want to let you know that I'm in a funny mood. So funny that I keep going cross-eyed. I don't know why I whispered that. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that because I should warn you about how this episode's going to go, I guess. Also, did you know that you can listen to this podcast on Nighthawk Radio? I was going to read a few of the shows, but I am going to read all of them. So there is Seth's Daily Podcast, Awakening Radio, Two Girls, One Cut, that's about serial killers, that's a good one, The Haunted Chronicles, Unfiltered Nation, 5 Minutes and a Cup of Joe, and that's basketball or sports, I think. There's just the basketball on the picture. And then there's the Line Before podcast, Harvey's Weekly Football Show, Beyond the Woodline, In Dark Places, Nighthawk Radio, Church Sermons, Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing, which I heard that host was like mean or something. And then there's Beyond the Math, Bannering Banshees, Harlots of Spook Talk, and Wrestling and Everything Coast to Coast. Also, Jim is here with me today. I'm making him sit and watch me talk since he wants to sit in here. I would tell you guys to say hi to him, but he won't hear you. But that doesn't mean he can't say hi to you. Jim, say hi.
Hi.
You gotta say it louder.
Hi.
Well, Jim probably won't say much. If he does, you probably won't be able to hear him anyway. So let's talk about whatever it was I was just talking about. But before I do, I just want you to know that I'm starting a fan club and I'm going to call it Club Weird. I don't know what we're doing yet, but something. So if you want to be a part of Club Weird, I guess text me or something. Because you can text the show. If you go into the show notes and click text show, I'll get a text message. You should try it. And I don't want to go back and find out, but I think I said the last half of that line of like whatever I just said with a lisp. I'm really sorry for that laugh, by the way. That's my laugh when something is like really funny, I guess. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go gather myself. Okay, so let's set the scene. In February 1959, 9 hikers, all young students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute in Russia, decide to go on a skiing and hiking expedition in the Ural Mountains. Their leader was a 23-year-old engineering student named Igor Dyatlov. So, yeah, that's why this whole thing is called the Dyatlov Pass incident. I wish you guys could see the face that I made when I did that laugh, but you can't because I don't have a video yet. But soon. So these hikers weren't newbies, they were experienced hikers. The kind of people who thought, you know, it sounds fun, camping in sub-zero Russia for days on end. Meanwhile, my idea of roughing it is like when I forget my water bottle at the resort while I'm in Disney. Oh, my Lanta. I just recorded this line like 3 times because I kept mispronouncing the mountain. The plan was to reach a mountain called Otorten, which, fun fact, means don't go there in the local Mansi language, which maybe should have been the first red flag. If I'm about to climb a mountain literally called don't go there, I'm not going there. Anyway, they set out with skis, tents, journals, cameras, all of the supplies. And for a while, everything seemed normal. They kept detailed diary entries, took goofy photos, even built a little makeshift stove in their tent to stay warm. They were having a good time making snowmen, singing songs, totally normal expedition vibes. And then, nothing. Days later, when they didn't come back, a search party went out. And that's when this story stops sounding like a wholesome camping trip. I don't know why I laughed at that. So the search party goes out expecting to find these hikers maybe lost, maybe frostbitten, but at least alive. Instead, what they find is straight out of a horror movie. First, they find the tent, and it's not just abandoned, it's slashed open from the inside. Like, imagine being so terrified that instead of using the zipper, you just rip your way out with a knife. That's like not a normal camping panic. That's something like really, really is wrong panic. Inside of their tent was all of their belongings. Their boots, their coats, even their food, half eaten. It looked like they left in a rush, basically in their underwear in the middle of a snowstorm. Then they started finding the bodies. 2 hikers were discovered under a cedar tree, barefoot and barely dressed, as if they'd tried making a fire. 3 more were found between the tree and the tent, like they were trying to crawl back but didn't make it. And the last 4, those were the strangest. So months later, they were found buried under the snow in a ravine, and their injuries were horrifying. 1 had a fractured skull, 2 had broken ribs, 1 woman was missing her tongue, 2 were missing eyes. But the wild part is that there weren't any bruises or cuts on the outside of their bodies. To make it even creepier, some of their clothing tested positive for radiation because apparently freezing in the snow wasn't enough. They had to glow in the dark too. That was a good one. So now the investigators are like, okay, what the hell? We've got half-naked hikers in the snow, bodies scattered in weird places, mysterious injuries, missing eyes and tongues, and radiation. Like, this is no ordinary snowstorm. And in their official report, the Soviet government described it as deaths caused by an unknown compelling force, which is probably the most metal way of saying we have no idea what happened here. Okay, so if the tent and bodies weren't unsettling enough, the hikers actually left behind diaries and cameras. The diaries at first seemed completely normal. Entries talking about the trip, jokes about weather, exhaustion, and even strange sounds at night. 1 hiker wrote about feeling watched. Another scribbled about how the group was nervous but trying to stay positive. It's not full-blown horror movie diary-like. If you're reading this, I'm already dead, but it definitely shifts the vibe from playful to eerie. And then the cameras. These kids were documenting everything. The early photos are goofy, snowball fights, smiley faces, setting up camp, but some of the very last photos, that's where it gets creepy. 1 shows the hikers bundled up in the dark, faces tense, like something was wrong. Another appears to capture strange glowing orbs in the sky. UFO fans jumped all over that one, of course. And then the final frame on 1 camera is just total chaos. A blurry, overexposed shot of a light against dark. Some people think it was just an accident. Others swear it shows a bright explosion or something they couldn't explain. It's like the diaries and photos were breadcrumbs. Happy and normal at first, then unraveling into fear, and finally, silence. So, now that we've got the scene, the slashed out tent, the bodies, the weird injuries, the creepy photos, let's dive into the theories, because people went full conspiracy brain on this one. So theory 1 is the avalanche. The most boring explanation. The idea is snow came crashing down, they panicked, cut open the tent, and ran. But here's the problem. The slope wasn't steep enough, the tent wasn't buried, and their injuries didn't really line up with the whole avalanche thing. Theory 2 is Soviet military testing, and this one's juicy. So some say the hikers stumbled into secret Soviet weapons testing, like parachute mines or radiation experiments, that could explain the strange injuries of blunt force trauma without external wounds, and the radiation on their clothes. And it would also explain why the case was closed so quickly. Government cover-up vibes all the way. Theory 3 is UFOs and aliens. So remember those glowing orbs in the photos? The UFO people went wild with that. The theory is that they saw strange lights, fled the tent in a panic, and were either attacked or zapped somehow. Imagine surviving like Sub-Zero Russia only to get yeeted by aliens. Rude. I don't know if you caught the way I said rude, but the way that I said it was, I don't know if you guys have seen the TikTok where the lady's like on a Zoom call. She's on a Zoom call and her daughter's sitting behind her, and the lady on the other end's like, "You got a ghost behind you." And she was like, "That's my daughter." And then she yelled something like she was like effing translucent or something like that. It was actually really funny. Anyway, so theory 4 is the Yeti cryptid attack. So Bigfoot's Russian cousin makes an appearance here, and the idea is that a Yeti or some kind of cryptid attacked them. Tongue ripped out, weird injuries, panicked escape. It all kind of fits if you believe in snow monsters. There's even a page in one of the diaries where they jokingly mention a snowman, which of course conspiracy theorists were like, foreshadowing. Theory 5 is infrasound wind panic. So this one is more sciencey. The idea is that strong winds in the mountains created infrasound, which is super low frequency sound waves humans can't hear, but that can cause panic, nausea, and hallucinations. So basically Mother Nature gaslit them into running half naked into the snow. Theory 6 is murder or human attack. Some people think it was the locals, the Mansi people, or even escaped prisoners from a nearby camp. But there was no sign of a struggle, and the injuries didn't match typical attacks. Plus, if you're out here ripping out tongues and crushing ribs without leaving scratches, you're either supernatural or a Marvel villain. I don't know why I laughed at that. But anyway, after decades of rumors, theories, and full-on alien fan fiction, the case was actually reopened in 2019 by Russian authorities. And guess what their big conclusion was? I need a drum roll. Okay, that was good enough. It was just an avalanche. Yep. After 60 years, all the mystery, all the theories, all the radiation and missing eyeballs, the official answer was basically, oops, snow happened. Now, they did have some new science to back it up. Researchers ran simulations showing that a rare, delayed avalanche could have buried part of the tent, forcing the hikers to flee in panic. The crushing snow could explain the internal injuries, they said. But the slope wasn't even steep enough. The tent wasn't buried. Some injuries still don't make sense, and the last I checked, avalanches usually don't rip out tongues and eyeballs. So that is the Dyatlov Pass, a mystery frozen in time. Literally. 9 hikers, a tent slashed from the inside, scattered bodies with bizarre injuries, radiation, glowing lights, and a government shrugging its shoulders with, avalanche, probably. It's been more than 60 years and still no one can explain it without leaving holes big enough to march a Yeti through. Do you see what I did there? Honestly, I think that's why it sticks with people though, because nothing adds up. But don't go anywhere, because this episode isn't done yet. Since it's spooky season and this was a super short episode, I figured, why stop at one nightmare? We can talk about something that's creepy and has been haunting people since the 90s. One that might knock on your door late at night and ask to come in and leave you with a gut feeling that if you say yes, you'll never see daylight again. Okay, so another quick question. If 2 kids showed up at your door late at night asking to come inside, would you let them in? What if you noticed their eyes were completely black? No whites, no pupils, just solid black. Because that is the legend of the black-eyed children. The first widely told story comes from the mid-90s in Texas. A journalist named Brian Bethel wrote about how he was sitting in his car late one night when 2 boys approached and asked him for a ride home. He said he felt this overwhelming sense of dread, like his body was screaming, something is wrong here. Then he noticed their eyes. Totally black, no white, just void. The kids kept insisting he let them in the car, but he panicked and peeled out of the parking lot and never looked back. Later, he shared his story online and people from all over started saying, wait, I've seen them too. Since then, reports of black-eyed children pop up everywhere, knocking on doors late at night, approaching people's cars, always polite, always asking to be let in, almost like vampires needing permission. And every story has the same detail. The second you see their eyes, you feel this primal, gut-deep terror, like something inside you knows that if you let them in, you won't survive. So who or what are these black-eyed kids? Because obviously just regular kids isn't gonna work when your eyes look like bottomless pits of evil. So here's the buffet of theories that people have been chewing on since the 90s. I think I might be hungry. I say buffet a lot. I haven't been to a buffet in a little while and I kind of want to go. Anyway, theory 1 is alien-human hybrids. Some say they're part of a secret alien experiment. Hybrids meant to blend in with us, but their eyes give them away. The reason they asked to be invited in is maybe it's part of a psychological test. Maybe they can only act with consent, or maybe it's just a weird alien etiquette thing. Theory 2 is demons or vampires. Others swear they're demonic entities that need permission to enter your home or your car. That's why every story is about them asking to come in. In folklore, that's classic vampire behavior, except instead of fangs and capes, they have Gap Kids hoodies and a really creepy stare. Theory 3 is interdimensional beings. This one's extra spicy. People think they're interdimensional travelers or astral parasites that feed on fear. That overwhelming dread you feel is not just nerves, it's them feeding off your energy before they cross over. And I think that it's similar to, there's something out there, I think it's called Loosh. And it's basically there are these things that we can't see, these beings that we can't see, and they feed off of our, fear, off of our energy and stuff like that, and it's what keeps them going, or something like that. I don't know. So theory 4 is government experiments and, MK Ultra babies. So, because of course, it wouldn't be a conspiracy buffet without the government. So some think they are part of mind control experiments gone wrong. Psychic kids, part Stranger Things, part Children of the Corn, which honestly, if the CIA did cook this up, 10 out of 10 for branding. Theory 5 is mass urban legend and sleep paralysis. So the skeptical take is it's just an urban legend. People see creepy kids at night, the internet turns into a monster, and our brains do the rest. Some even think sightings during sleep paralysis are just shadow people visions, misremembered as kids. So yeah, aliens, demons, vampires, interdimensional energy leeches, psychic government kids are just really good creepypasta. Personally, if I open the door and see two void-eyed children asking to come in, I'm just no. I don't care if they have thin mints, the door stays locked. And actually, I don't even answer the door. If someone knocks, I stare at them through the curtains until they go away like a normal person. Now, I did find a couple stories on Reddit, and I might read one or two, but I just want you to know I'm reading this in the dark, and I'm afraid of the dark, so I'm probably going to get scared. Okay, so this one is from 7 years ago by user Wild Fenrir, I think is what that says. It says, I once had an encounter with what may have been black-eyed children. I live in a small town in West Scotland. One night, maybe 5 years ago, I took my dog out for a short walk. It was around 10:30 or 11 on a cold and wet November night. At the end of my street, about 100 yards from my house, there is a little patch of grass. My dog was sniffing around and I wasn't really paying attention, so I didn't see where they came from. I remember turning and seeing two young boys walking in the middle of the road about 10 feet from where I was standing. I thought they were too young to be walking around at that time of night, and I had never seen them before. All of the kids in my area played together, and I knew most of them. Both of the boys had no jackets or jumpers, wearing only a t-shirt on a freezing night in the middle of winter. This was all weird, but I would have dismissed it had the larger of the two boys not started speaking. That's a nice dog, he said. His accent was definitely not Scottish. It sounded almost like, I think it says Scouse, and then it says Liverpool. Anyway, his speech was a weird stop-start nature and was fast and loud. The smaller one didn't say anything, but both were looking at me as they were walking past. To be honest, I can't say for sure if their eyes were all black because it was night, but they were very, very dark. As soon as the boy started to speak, I felt a sense of dread. I didn't or couldn't answer him as he asked more questions in rapid succession. I remember, what kind of dog is that and how old is the dog? I'm not sure why, but I felt threatened. The same way you might feel when a fight is about to break out. All I could do was stand between them and my dog as they passed. They never stopped walking. The dread feeling had grown quickly into a terror. I couldn't understand it and still don't. I was genuinely scared of those two boys. I was at least 18 at this point. My dog was with me. There was plenty of street lighting. We were surrounded by houses on all sides, with mine being only 100 yards away, but I couldn't even speak to them. There was something very unnatural about the whole situation. My instincts told me not to engage with them, and I watched them walk by and up the small hill going in the other direction from my street. After they were out of sight, I walked quickly back to the house with my dog at my side. You may be wondering if I forgot to add the part where my dog started to growl at the spooky kids, but she took no notice of them at all. For my dog, who is a little terrier, this is actually even stranger. In her old age, she has calmed down, but at that point she would growl, bark, and leap towards anything living that caught her eye, especially other dogs and kids. The whole encounter lasted maybe 1 to 2 minutes, and the whole time she just sniffed around the grass. I don't know if this was a black-eyed children encounter or if I was just spooked by the weirdness of the situation, but I can honestly say I've never felt anything like that before. Something inside of me told me that what I was seeing and hearing wasn't right and that there was something very wrong with those kids. A few months after the encounter, I had largely forgotten about it. Then I saw a YouTube video about the black-eyed children, and I remembered how freaked out I had been that night. I'm not a big believer in the supernatural. I am sure there are a lot of things that we think are weird and creepy, but have perfectly normal explanations. However, I will never forget this experience. I thought about it tonight and came on Reddit to see people were still talking about them, so I wanted to share my experience. I just want to add that all this really happened. I am not claiming anything supernatural occurred, but I just want to make it clear this wasn't a story. I really saw those 2 boys and one spoke to me. I still live at the same address and still recognize most of the kids in the area. I've never seen either of those boys again. Well, that's creepy. And I'm not reading anymore because it's dark outside. So I guess if you want to read about them, you can do it yourself on your own time. Okay, my weird friends. That's it for episode 14. But before you vanish into the night, I have some updates. So I'm switching things up a little bit, and new episodes are now going to be coming out on Tuesdays and Fridays. And Tuesdays are officially True Crime Tuesday, where we dig into the strangest, funniest, and downright dumbest crimes happening right now. From Florida peacock feasts to crawl space goblins, no crime is too weird. And at the end of every True Crime Tuesday, brace yourself for my newest chaotic segment called The Docket of Dumb. That's where I slam the siren that I do myself. I'm going to be like, brr, 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 brr. And I'll rattle off 5 real headlines so ridiculous they'll make you question evolution. No deep dives, no context, just pure, certified, headline-grain stupidity so that we can both be confused and you can think about it all night. Then on Fridays, I'm back to my regularly scheduled chaos. The big theories, the weird conspiracies, and the things that I say that may keep you up at night. Because I know they keep me up at night. This week's Song of the Week is Chasms by Lucid Havoc. Go stream it, add it to your spooky season playlist, and tell them I sent you. I will see you on Tuesday for True Crime Tuesday. You will hear me on Tuesday for True Crime Tuesday. Stay weird, stay curious, go be kind to someone for no reason, and go be amazing.
Stumbling in distant memories to me, though every heart still beats. And the times I've held on to a crumbling. Tell me, when did the living begin? Haunted by your days, the remnants of belonging are fading fast now, fading fast now. All lives give away, the ground I'm standing on is separated us now, separated us. Crawling through the skies of my decay. All these people feel so far away. I'm falling even farther from my way, into chasms that deceived us, miles in between us yesterday. Alone I'm calling out across the void. I see the fragments tumbling down the rock and soil. I can almost reach them through this haunting noise.